All right, welcome everybody. This is the host of the Road to Discovery podcast. I am Christian King Taylor, and I am honored to be with my good friend again, Mr. Sun Ray. How you doing, brother?
Joyful, man. Joyful and abundant. Happy and just in gratitude.
I feel that, man. I feel that. So, I know we usually get off into like some topics, or we usually go into something, but I wanted to acknowledge you for a moment and just even look at your name right now, Sun Ray. And I wanted to ask you, what does the sun mean to you? What does the sun represent in your life? Because one, I notice you're often outside, you're often in the sun, you got your shirt off, you're radiating in the sun. So you embody your name most definitely. But I'm wondering what it means to you.
Oh, that was a cool breakdown, dude. Well, the sun is the infinite consciousness made manifest. It's the closest physical experience. It's the closest physical representation of source of God. Like this physical avatar, our vessels, isn't like what we are. It's just an expression in this small little realm of ours that we created to have amazing experience of remembering. But we all know that we're much bigger than these physical vessels, right? So just think of this physical body compared to the sun. The sun is a giant manifest physical, you know, identifiable, being that we can see and interact with and feel and see interacting with other beings around us. So don't we think that that consciousness is probably at least as conscious as ours? Probably much more likely, way more conscious than us, right? Probably on par with this entire earth realm, like this physical earth that's alive, that's growing and is hurt and digest right in front of us and do everything is alive, probably on par like that. So what do they represent in the spirit realm then? You know what I mean? If we're
Mhm.
bigger than this, how big are they? So the sun is the closest thing we have to the infinite source, right? So it's the infinite source made manifest. So it's a healer. It provides you with energy, logical thinking. It upgrades you. It gives you confidence. It literally gives you the masculine, divine properties of this expression. So
Mhm.
anything, any man that wants to exude divine masculine, the divine masculine is right there, and it provides the nourishment to do that. It makes it possible. So it allows you to reflect. It allows you to grow. It allows you to remember. It allows you to integrate lessons you learn. It's the reason why the ancient Cometics, right, the ancient Sumerians, they all talk about sun gazing and sunbathing and honoring the sun, not in a way of worshiping something outside of you, but knowing that we are the sun because that is the reflection of what created all of this.
Mhm.
So it's no separation. We are all one. I am you, you are me, we are everything that you see. It allowed you to see the infinite oneness. We were connected to it. Those beings created the pyramids that we still don't understand today. But yet we let the people who eat babies convince everybody that those people were woohoo crazy. But they created the pyramids that we still don't understand. So once you recognize what the sun is and you prove it to yourself, go out, sunbathe. I started sun gazing like 4 years ago, and I started off like 3 seconds, 10 seconds. And I remember I got made it up to 20 seconds. My heart was beating fast. It was the craziest stuff. Like I was talking, and I was like, if there's something to this, then allow me to do it. And I
Mhm.
just did it for 20 seconds, and I was like, holy shit, changed my life. Then I started
Mhm.
having these memories. Then I started seeing myself, and then I see myself with no hair, absorbing the sun, and it's like
Mhm.
a flashback. And I don't recommend like anybody cutting their hair off because the hair is an extension of your nervous system and it does affect your physical expression. And if you don't cover your crown around certain energies, you'll take on that energy unknowingly. So only certain priests, people who are trying to interact with the infinite consciousness for specific spiritual reasons, I advise. But anyway, um, yes. So once you start integrating it, you know, I was diagnosed with ADHD. I was diagnosed with narcolepsy. I was sleeping 10, 12 hours a day. I was struggling to get out of bed still. I was depressed. It was sad. I was gaining so much weight. And I was on everything from Adderall to modafinil, armodafinil to Ritalin, and nothing was working. I took an Adderall, I could take a nap in 30 minutes. I was
Mm,
that bad. And that's pretty common in the narcolepsy community. Somebody told me, how much sun do you get? And how often do you ground in Mother Nature? And I'm like, what the fuck I got to do with anything? Like I'm trying to feel good, man. I'm not trying to be on no kickback. I'm not trying to get more relaxed. I did it
mm.
and it changed my life. You know, I went from struggling to get out the bed to ride my bikes, fucking, I don't know, miles a day, just active, man. You know,
Damn. So
just,
in fact, the sun is what saved you in a sense. Just
oh man,
finding your connection to the sun and finding your likelihood to it and how it combines with your nervous system and your body and learning about all that. It really saved your whole present existence.
oh man. You know, while gaining higher consciousness, the sun gives you consciousness. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
on a journey of spiritual enlightenment, the sun hitting your eyes is extremely important. It's necessary. It's not like, hey, this is going to help out. It is necessary to have a certain level of consciousness, a certain level of perception. Um, the more I did it, the more I started seeing everything. My third eye was cracking open, and then I'm seeing the chemtrails associated with it. Then I'm researching with that. Then I'm seeing why they're doing it. Why would it benefit them? Then I went through the whole everything, the the secret societies, the poison air, fluoride, the poison food and the food dyes and the distorted history and aboriginals actually being from here looking just like me and you. Like I went through everything, religion, why was and how everything was, and you go through stages, you go through that spiritual psychosis almost where you like, oh shit, I gotta wake everybody up, we gotta get to war. Then you realize we are everything, and
Yeah.
I am the infinite dreamer. And just like
Mm.
when you go to sleep at nighttime and you're dreaming that whole world, this is the same thing that's happening outside of this. So we just got to know that we're all one. And then
And
you overcome that obstacle. And, yeah, yeah. You want to
that's
add something on it?
I was gonna say because that was the only thing I kind of wanted to, and not combat, but I kind of wanted to clarify with you because you were saying like the sun is the closest thing we can see and that we have to the ultimate source, to the connection of what is the universe, what is God, and everything. And I do agree with you, but I would say before that is ourself and our self consciousness, and only within realization of ourself and of our knowledge of self that we can even take in all that is great from the sun. Like before you got to the moment of being able to actually empower all that the sun was giving you, you had to recognize in yourself in needing that connection. The sun has always been there, but it took you to get that information to realize in yourself where was the detachment in self happening that was making you narcoleptic, that was making you ADHD and all these other things. That knowledge of self then opened your relationship with the sun that you have now. So I would always say we can use all the things around us as tools, but they will never be as powerful unless we place the power within them, and that's through ourselves.
Yeah, good. Well, I am the sun. So
Exactly,
everything is one and the same.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So
Yeah,
that
man. It's
and
cool.
even with your knowledge of being the sun grew brighter. The sun grew to heal you even more. The sun grew to your connection with the sun. You became sun ray with that knowledge of self. With that knowing of that connection. And
Man.
yeah, but yeah, that's all because that's been like a big. I don't know. It's been a big drive in me currently to want to dispel to people, to want to give to people just the knowledge of not separating that accountability, not separating that connection, where it's like we say a lot of things where it's like, oh, thank you for the source giving me this. Thanks for, the even when it comes to like hoodoo, like, oh, I put a candle and it did this, but nothing has power without you giving it to it. Well, nothing has power without it coming from you. The reason why we have resources and we have holistic things and all these things, because we're able to use tools to amplify the powers within, which is why the majority of pharmaceuticals and other things work within a placebo effect, where if you can just think that you're taking something, you can think that you're doing something, it will have the same effect as if you were. So we have to realize there is no disconnection between us and anything, and the powers that we place in everything already lives within us.
Exactly. Unless you don't want it to, because you're so powerful that if
It's
you believe that you don't have that power, you are so supported unconditionally that you will have an experience of not having power over it. But yes, everything is ultimately a permission slip. Religion, any spiritual practices, everything, and it has to do with the mind. The mind is all. All is the mind.
yeah. That's
That's
why
deep, though, man.
it's
That's
like
deep.
I don't mind, and I don't, try to steer people away from anything that they believe in. If it's, the universe, if it's source, if it's God, Jesus, Allah, Muhammad, all these things. If you can only just still have those things, but place them within yourself. Know that Jesus is within you. Know that God is within you. Know that the Son is within you. Know that all these things are within you. And then once you realize they're within you, you don't have to always speak that power outside of yourself. You don't have to feel like it's a download when actually it's an upload of self. It's an inload, which I don't know how that sounds, but it's
Upload.
it's an upload. It's not coming down from anywhere. It's coming from within. I'm uploaded to myself, and
Mm.
I'm able to make that connection. I'm able to actually broadcast that connection. I'm able to actually amplify that connection, and that happens with whatever you choose to do with. So when you sit and you hear a profound thing and you want to say, hey, that's my higher self talking to me. If you are in the present and you have knowledge of something that comes to you, you made that happen. Your higher self, your past self is all within you in this present moment. We got to stop giving outside versions of ourselves and gods and entities and all these
And
things.
ancestors,
Wait, what you mean? Oh,
because
ancestors.
we
Yeah, because they are within you. They
it's
are
us. Exactly.
just like you remember the movie Coco?
Yeah. I never
Have you
seen
seen?
it, but
Never.
I know a little bit about it.
It's a great movie. But within the movie Coco, they go to the basically the realm of afterlife, where you exist in the afterlife after you die, only if there's people in the present time that remember you. So the fact that your existence only takes place if you are remembered by somebody within the present. So that tells you the power that people have to in connection to their ancestors if they hold them within the present. Me keeping you present with me keeps you present in general. It keeps you present on this realm. So the same
I don't
way,
watch too many
I
movies.
I already know you don't, but you already know I'm a movie guy. So there's always going to probably be something. And I think that movies, they tell a lot with, especially children's movies, specifically children's movies, because children's movies
Oh yeah.
always have to have a message more than any other type of movie. They always have underlying messages, and just with that, I think it teaches the deep connection we have with ourselves and all the people that came prior to us, which is why, people have such a grandiose idea of Jesus, because you got to look at Jesus is an ancestor. He came from something before us. I'm not if he was Yeshua or if he was all these things. It's an embodiment. It's a spirit that we are keeping alive with our remembrance of it. And so, like in my work with past lives and with spirit attachments and things like that, depending on who I'm dealing with, sometimes if they have spirit or something attached to them, they'll, when I'm trying to remove that spirit, they'll ask for Jesus to come help take them to the light or take them to their next stage of life, so they can be off of this body that they are possessing. So in within that happens, they will see a Jesus, whatever they figure they see him looking like, come and assist them to walk away and walk towards their actual destiny. And we have to realize all of that lives within us. We create and we build and we manifest and we amplify. All that starts right here. So it don't matter if it's Jesus, Allah, Muhammad, or whatever, or if you want to see your family members, whatever you want will be the existence you will experience. The same way as in the present, if you are bringing yourself down, if you are the misery that is enjoying company, if you are bringing all these things to yourself, you will exist in that hell that you are talking about. You will exist in that. And in the same opposite, if you start seeing the light, if you start seeing the beauty, if you start seeing the love, if you start seeing the compassion and empathy, and you start seeing yourself in everyone, you will also exist in the heaven that we all speak so highly of. Also, it is, everything is created within self. Even Jesus in the Bible quoted says, "The kingdom of God lives within you." And if we can think, what is the kingdom of God? Everything. And if we start not looking at that as just figuratively or symbolic, but if we look at that as a physical fact, as a spiritual fact, we will recognize the power and the connectivity we have to any and everything.
That's so such a coincidence, coincide. I
Coincide.
made a video earlier talking about the kingdom of God is inside of you, and um, how that was a message by a messenger, and how the message was distorted so far from the actual intentions. But I want to go back. A reason I watch, I watch movies that much because I always give myself. I'm always processing, so I see the programming and everything. And even back to that Coco, I know there's always a deep message, especially when you take it and apply it to esoteric lens. You can pull a lot, probably more from the kids' movies than any movie,
For
to be
sure.
honest with you. But like even on that one, I feel like that's programming kids to seek external validation. Like you literally will die if you're not remembered. So then it's like you have to live a life that's worth somebody else remembering. So they feel like almost forces you to use your energy to make everybody else think that you're cool to remember you, opposed to just being happy and present. And it's a double entendre. They get that, but then it's like their energy is knotted up a little bit because then it's rooted in external validation. And it's like almost every super blockbuster movie knots up people energies because it's a deep esoteric truth to it to help with the balance and the karmic retribution, but it's always rooted in something that
Yeah.
tied people knots up.
Because it's all about the perception and knowledge of self. Because I agree with exactly what you're saying, but I also see it completely differently. Because even I don't see that as death after that. I see as that's you existing in this realm still, but also there's still more after that. There is, like, regardless if you're here, pulled here, or remembered anywhere, there is more outside of our own understanding. Like I'm always referencing shit, but there's a scene in the Boondocks where he's talking about, like, where Samuel Jackson, He's talking about the known knowns. There's unknown knowns, and then there's unknown unknowns.
That's
And
cool.
and the thing is, there's always things that we know, and there's things that we know that we don't know. There's also things we don't know that we know, but there's also things we don't know that we don't know.
That's cool. That's true too.
You know, so
That's deep.
we gotta. So I think even in what you were saying about Coco, if you have knowledge of self, and if you're giving knowledge to your children, the programming has no power because they have real reality of self and know that nothing is dictated off of somebody else. It's all about the conscious and presence that I have and my where I need to be placed to be. If I feel like I need to anchor myself into this realm with these people, then it shall be. I shall be remembered. I shall be exactly where I need to be. But sometimes it takes that gap of remembrance for you to actually set yourself free from where you thought you needed to be.
That's 100% true, and I agree with everything. You specialize in past life regression.
Hmm.
Your consciousness is probably top 1% in the entire, like in this physical realm. The majority of people, the majority of kids that watch those movies are going to leave that thinking that they have to externally validate themselves. And
Oh yeah,
that is, that's worth knowing. That's worth knowing for people who aren't there yet.
but that's
Because,
all. That's always how it is
y-
until you realize trash is treasure. Trash is always going to
yeah,
be trash until there's somebody that can come and appreciate it for treasure. So it's a beautiful thing
perception.
because it's a beautiful thing because that can just be a seed that's in that child, and it can be in that child until that child is 56 years old. But then let's so happen somebody like me or somebody within like mind just comes and waters that seed a little bit and says, "Hey, but also this," and you already have a foundation that can grow into this expanded knowledge of perception of what else could be. You know, so it's all about how you're looking at stuff because anything can be shitty or bad or like actually kind of poison you in the present. But when you look at things in the macro, they can be the tiny seed or the tiny bit of pain or the tiny bit of uncomfort that takes you further than you ever thought you could have went.
Exactly. Because the greatest power we have, and I know this is going to sound kind of weird, is
Hmm.
that life is absolutely meaningless by itself. We give it the meaning. So stop looking and asking, dang, so what did this mean? You go within and you apply meaning to what that meant to you. Because I guarantee if you have a life of ascension and you are chasing knowledge and remembrance and growing in higher consciousness, you're going to look back at all of those moments that you didn't know were nothing mean, and you going to 100% apply the greatest meaning, and it's going to be so meaningful to you, by you, from you, to you, for you. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
yes, you give it meaning. You are that
Exactly.
powerful. I think we're afraid. We're afraid to have that much power because we don't want to be accountable for our outcome. Because if we apply our power externally, we can blame it on this, that, and the third, him, God, source, anything outside of us, the ancestors, higher self, whatever you want to frame it as, whatever you want to hide it as. But you create the permission slip. You are ultimately responsible for your experience, your physical, spiritual, energetic, all input experience. You are responsible for it. Stop trying to run away from it. And if you knew that you have control, you don't have to fight for control because if you're fighting for it, if you're chasing it, it's going to continue to elude you. You don't chase what's yours. What's yours is inherently yours.
Hmm.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Whatever you
Hmm.
chase is going to elude you. You create resistance. You have to be. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You have to be. And the mark of real change is when you really grow to higher levels of consciousness. The mark of real change is when the outside looks the same, but you choose to react differently. That's
Hmm.
when you really change because the outside has no effect and no bearing on you. Once you realize that, when you stop chasing something and just be gratitude, when you start focusing on everything that you're grateful for in life, you mess around and stop forgetting what you was yearning for, but you already put it out there. But you mess
Hmm.
around and forget about it, and now it's at your doorstep.
Now it's right there.
That's how it
Yep.
works. You gotta put it out there and stop fucking checking to see if it's manifesting, because that's
Mm.
going to keep it from manifesting, because you're searching for it. Put the
Yeah.
intention out there. You, which is your higher self, which is the background where all of this is happening. This is a dream. This is fun. This is meant to be here right now. It's all working. That's you. So once you put it out there, this is something that I will prefer to have in my desired reality.
Hmm.
Focus on it, see it, get that feeling. What's the feeling you're chasing? That's the real thing. With the imagination in your head, is only a tool. Again, it's only a tool to make you feel in the vibration that you want to feel. But you don't put an insistence on it manifesting exactly how you want it, because the whole reason you want that thing in your head to manifest is to feel a certain feeling. So if you think about that, the whole point is to make you feel like that, which puts you in that vibration, which makes it manifest. And don't put an insistence on how it specifically manifests, because then you create resistance if it don't come out exactly how you intended. When your higher self, when source has a bigger imagination than you ever could. So don't limit yourself. You don't limit yourself just on these 30 some years. When you got the infinite source working in the background, put it out there and trust and just be. And then you
It's
become
also
one.
just like I said before, but it's not working in the background. It's working on the in ground. It's working within yourself. You're producing the state of self that's able to handle what you're trying to manifest. And like they say, a watched pot is a slow boil. It takes longer to boil when you're sitting there watching a pot waiting for it to boil. But we have to have trust in what we put out there. Once we put it out there, we trust it to come, and all the steps it takes for it to come is the steps we needed to take to be in that vibration of it being here, so it can actually exist there. Because it's just like people who win the lotto and then they're dead in 6 months because they go insane with the money. They end up going here, doing drugs and doing all these things. They're not able to handle these things. If you truly want something and you want to exist with it and in harmony with it, we have to prepare to be there. We if you ask the universe, if you ask God, if you ask yourself for patience, you will not have just instant patience. You have the opportunity to be patient. That's how things work. Everything is a muscle being built. We have to, if you want to be rich, if you want to be all these things, and you want to be in harmony with that wealth and with that richness, and you don't want to be in insanity in that richness, you have to grow to the self that is comfortable being with wealth. You have to be comfortable helping and giving with wealth. You have to be comfortable building and laying foundations with that wealth. A lot of times when
What's up, bro?
people a lot of times when people talk about wanting to be rich, a lot of times I just ask why. What do you want to do with that with that money? Do you so you can just take trips and you don't have to worry about going to work and all these things. Though that's not a real grand scheme of what you can do with 100 years left in your life, with 80 years left in your life.
Mm,
That's not gonna be a fulfillment with that money. In actuality, how will you exist with
mm,
that money? How will you be in harmony with that money? We have to stop thinking. Well, the simple fact is, I'm not going to displace our discounts that we have been taught to be very goal oriented, to be very just short term, short way. Just hey, get to the finish line and do this. That's what we've been taught. We've been taught to be in fear of our power, to just run at things, and when you get it, that's when you got it. That's all you need. We have to learn to see the eternity within our actions, to see the long repercussions and the long correspondence of what we're actually doing. You know, we you have to exist beyond the finish line. You know,
Mm,
the finish line is not the end. Because the thing is, you can get to that finish line, but then how do you handle winning? How do you handle that long run? How do you handle the fallback of beating people? How do you handle all that comes after it? You know?
that's deep, man. Um, yeah. Why do you want to? Most people don't know why they want to be rich. They just know they want to be out of the state that they're in now. But if you
Exactly.
dig deep, start peeling back the layers, do that shadow work. A lot of people are afraid to ask themselves questions. They're afraid to look in. They're very afraid to go inward. I mean, they're operating completely in ego, which is the whole point of all of the movies and TV shows and shit. It programs people to operate out of ego. So they never ask them questions why they want to be rich. What is the feeling that you want to feel that you're not feeling now? Most of the time, it's relaxation, it's peace, and a lot of times it's freedom because people don't feel free. That's why there's a term called free time. Hey, we got any
Mhm.
free time? No, I ain't got no free time this week. Then what the fuck is the other time? What time are you on, man? Are you on slave time? You know, I would feel like your power, your time is yours. And if you know exactly what you're chasing, you can create that without the necessary financial burdens of having to fucking put on yourself to be rich. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
if you're chasing presence and free time, you can just create a life where you have so much more time to yourself as free, and then you are already in that vibration you're chasing after. Now you're just as happy you would have been if you'd have took 20 years to become a fucking billionaire, and then finally bought an island at 78 years old, and now you're finally have some free time. You could have created that at 30 something.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then went on to your next vibration that you prefer to feel,
Yeah.
and integrate that into yourself.
Yeah, and you want to be rich because you're placing the blame of all your hurts and all your sorrows presently on not having
Mm,
money. So you're saying, "Oh, I hate going to this job. I hate doing this." But who is creating that hate?
that's
Who
deep.
who are you giving that power, your power to make you hate something? And in actuality, if this job is providing you the chance to pay your rent, to do this or do that, appreciate it for what it is. This is this to do this, and with this, I'm able to do this. And if that's not fulfilling enough, leave that and go towards something and appreciate the sacrifice you're taking and learn from that sacrifice to in order to gain more in the direction that you need it to be in. You know, it's
Deep.
it's all about how we're what we're placing the blames on, and we think that money will be the quick fix just because we've been blaming money on our unhappiness. When in actuality, you can go look at kids in the projects right now, and they laughing louder and stronger than the kids in a lot of the prep schools. They they laughing, they running, they playing. They haven't in actual. If you talk to most people who have money after being poor, they'll let you know that when they were young, they didn't know they were poor. They didn't. You don't realize you poor till you you start comparing yourself to other things. You start comparing all these things, which is why a lot of people are within a very low vibration and within a lot of depression because we have these phones to place so much comparison on any and everything. And when in actuality, most of what we're seeing on our phones is fabricated and falsely manufactured.
You know what? That's deep, man. A lot of billionaires as well are living lives full of anxiety and stress because they're so afraid to lose what they worked so hard to obtain, and they are constantly threatened to lose that which they worked so hard to obtain that they can't even sit down and be present in it. Even if they go on a trip to Peru somewhere with their family, the biggest rush of dopamine that weekend came from closing a deal in a corner on their phone, generating another 100,000, another 100 million, whatever. for their company. And I did the deep research, dude, and it was like less than 1% of billionaires, no, less than 5% of billionaires live fulfilled and happy lives. You
Yeah.
almost get caught and get stuck on a hamster wheel. If you are an insecure person without a lot of money, you will be an insecure rich person with a lot of money.
And also, and just the way I think and the way I see things, I also see that as could be propaganda against us too, to let us know that there is no running away from that unhappiness. Because for all we know, these billionaires could be happy and be even on conscious states that got them to being that billionaire. But what's broadcast to us that, hey, even when you get this, you will not receive what you're looking for. Even when you do this, we are shown a lot of different things that will put us in these boxes that make us think that unhappiness is everywhere lurking around the corner waiting for us, when in actuality it's all based on your perception and your inner being. Like the billionaires who might be happy probably ain't taking the time to tell somebody how happy they are. you
I
know
I I think society does the opposite. I think they try to persuade all kids that being rich is the greatest thing in the world, and being a rapper and being famous is the greatest thing. And
see
I
i
think
think
all of it,
I think
huh?
they persuade kids to thinking that the richness comes with happiness, but they persuade adults to think that the richness comes with depression and sorrow. As adults, we see all the adults who are going through all this. We see them and we still be like, they still be unhappy. They still be this. When we're kids, we see it as like, oh, I got to get there. I got to do this. Just and in turn, it takes us through this hamster wheel where we try to run to this, and then we get to a point of adulthood, and we're like, oh, but to this, I have to learn how to be happy to do this. So then we go back and we keep on. We're in a always perpetual state of always chasing and running, which in turns creates these unhappy billionaires, regardless, because it turns into exactly that.
Because you're focused when you focus on money, that don't have nothing to do with your happiness. It's like
Yeah,
focusing on, like saying a big old house to make me happy. So what if you focused on getting nothing but houses, buying houses for the next 50 years? Would that make you happy? What if you just put it in all of that focus into actually being happy, and not at any given option that was available at any given moment, you always choose to do what actually brought you the most happiness and fulfillment? What if you did that at every checkpoint? What if you had like 10 checkpoints a day and that's what you did? How happy, how much more fulfilled and happy would you be when you trust yourself to lead you to your own happiness and fulfillment? And sometimes that can be catering or taking care of other people as well too. Sometimes that can be outsourcing your gifts to someone else, or that can be nurturing something outside of you. If it brings you genuine happiness and fulfillment, it brings you genuine happiness and fulfillment. So even the term rich, it means to have or assess valuable assets. An asset is something valuable. So if you got kids, if you got a relationship, if you're married, if you got a house, if you got furniture, those are all assets. A state of
mm-hmm,
mind is an asset. Peace is an
mm-hmm,
asset. You know what I mean? I'd rather be peaceful and moderate money than unpeaceful and chaotic and stressed out and mad and angry with billions of dollars. Because what's the point if my physical, actual experience is not fucking, happy and joyful and loving
yeah.
and enjoyable?
Because in actuality, who's more powerful in that scenario? The man that can sit somewhere, have nothing, and be at peace, or the man that needs everything around him to validate himself to have peace? If I need all these external things like money and businesses and people to make me feel comfortable, then what power do I actually have? I'm placing my power in everything around me. So I will never find peace because I need all these things to sit these certain ways and react these certain and be at these certain amounts to make me feel okay. But if in fact I'm a man who can have nothing to sit like you're talking about in the grass, looking at the sun, with everything that the earth presents you with on immediately, and you have peace, and who's more powerful?
And most of them people that think that they need or require those assets in order to be happy, they never end up happy because you realize that it's always greener on the other side. It's going to always be something else because you're not looking at you. You're looking at a distorted version that was presented to you by movies and TV shows and shit that make people think that if you grow up and work real hard, you can be very successful and very happy. And then you think that your happiness depends on your level of success. It's just you're not being energetic, you're being not your energy being knotted up. And that's what the psychological warfare that we're overcoming. And I'm so happy that the consciousness is rising and starting to realize a lot of this stuff. Um, so, so people be chasing happiness in objects, and it never works out like that. While you're there,
Yeah,
it's a bunch of problems. Now you have access to a whole bunch of problems that you wouldn't even have access to. So you kind
yeah,
of think like, man, somebody who make $40,000 a year, they only have access to a certain level of a certain lifestyle, but their expression, their consciousness, and their vibration is going to affect how they experience that. So when you get a lot of money, you're just still going to, even though you're going to have access to more positive amenities, you're going to have access to a lot of negative opportunities that you wouldn't even have access to. So because your expression is going to continuously, I mean, your vibration is still going to continuously dictate how you experience this physical reality.
yeah. Because those positives in turn into negatives. You start seeing like, now I pay for my boat. Now I gotta pay for my island. Now I gotta pay for
Yeah.
this, and you're looking. Oh, I gotta get these workers to work here, and I gotta do this. And we can turn anything beautiful into something poison. You just need the opportunity to do so. But also in turn, we can turn anything poison into something beautiful, which is the beautiful opposite of it. Because if I need a 10-bedroom house to feel happy, am I really happy? If I need a Lamborghini to feel happy or to feel validated in myself, what is that happiness really worth? How how significant is that happiness for real? You know, that 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 happiness is always dictated on that outside object. So when that outside object, Lamborghini, breaks down, the happiness is fractured. When that outside object, the 10-bedroom house, is dirty or it's getting foreclosed on, then that happiness is fractured. When all these 20 women that are after me and I feel good, when that is fractured and they're upset or they're arguing with each other or they're looking at me like a dog, that happiness is fractured. In actuality, what you're depending on in your happiness now has the power in your life. And it all goes back to what we're talking about. We have to take back our power, and the only person we're taking it back from is what we're giving it out to. And at the end of the day, it's still yourself, but you like you said, if you don't believe you got it, you ain't got it.
And to add on that, those people that obtain a bunch of things outside of themselves to be happy are not actually happy. They're not generating happiness. They're generating dopamine hits from getting something that they didn't have. But after that becomes their baseline, they're going to end up just as unhappy as they was before that because
Yeah,
it wasn't the items, it wasn't the lack thereof that was bringing them the unhappiness. It was the lack of the self love that was bringing them the unhappiness. And
because
most people don't know that, man.
in actuality, no matter if you got a $10,000 car or a $10 million car, you still got to drive the speed limit. You still have to take yourself from A to B. No matter if you got a 1-bedroom apartment or you got a 10-bedroom apartment or a 10-bedroom mansion, you can only exist in one room at a time. So no matter what's going on and how big and how grand these things are, we are after you get that, you relieve that dopamine that hits you when you first get it, everything subsides and you realize I still am just existing in this present being that I'm in right now. I still have to drive just like somebody else has to drive. And it also might suck even more because now I have a car that says it can go 30 miles an hour, but I can only go 60. Now I got this. I've worked so hard and I've isolated and I did all these things to get this 10, 20 bedroom mansion where nobody wants to be there with me. So it feels even more isolated. Or like now I have all these rooms and now all the people I love are more separated. They are all in these different rooms. We never see each other. It's all these things that we're searching and running for. They have a counterbalance to it, where it's not gonna. It's not what you. It's not what you think. What you experience is what you will be experiencing through your whole journey of your life. You just have to learn how to appreciate that experience right now. And once you learn to do that, then you start to learn, what do I want to do with this experience if I did have access to more things? If I did have access to a 20 bedroom mansion, who would I fill it with? Or am I just doing it to be alone? If I did have a faster car, then where am I going? If I did have an island, then who's there with me? Then what is it for? Then will I actually have peace to get there, to be in that place? It's We have to think about the questions beyond receiving it. After you
Searching for something that
receive
you
it,
don't have.
yeah, yeah,
Most people searching for something that they don't have. So even if you did have the mansion with the 5 bedrooms, with a whole house full of family and a love of your life, if you still be too busy to not appreciate what's in your life at that point, because then that's gonna become your baseline, and you're gonna be looking at something else. I guarantee it's things in your life right now that's worth being grateful for, that you're
of course,
overlooking because you're trying to get to this certain level, this certain thing. It will never bring it, because at no matter what stage you're at, there's always something to be present for. There's always something to be grateful for. And if you're not behind your eyes in the driver's seat, present in the moment, then you're going to continuously outsource your energy searching for something that you don't have. So even when you get everything in your mind that you want to have, if you're still in that same vibration, you're going to be thinking about everything at that moment that you don't have again, because you never actually went within and changed the vibration, change your vibrational frequency to gratitude. It's like a curse. Like you said, the hamster wheel is a never ending cycle of giving your power away, and
yeah,
anxiety of trying to achieve something, of trying to accomplish something, putting your value of your worth onto what you obtain or
yeah,
accomplish.
yeah. And that makes me think of a bar that Kanye said one time, and I'm not even sure he meant it in this way, but this is how I see it. Because there's a point in, I believe the song is Monster, where he says, "My presence is a present. Kiss my ass." But if you look at it more of, my presence of self is always a gift. It's a present. Then you will always have something to be grateful for. I don't need that these outside validations. My presence is a present, and that's
You want to
that's
know?
all I need.
That's so deep. And you want to know? That is part of the key to life, because most people want to be successful. They want to be happy. They want to be married. They want to be in a vibration of peace. They want to have everything around them. They want to be in a moment where they can let their guards go and be completely present.
Hmm.
And if only you recognize that you can be present right here, right now. When you ask a lot of those successful people their favorite time in their life, they usually go back to, when they was fishing with their parents, or had when they lived with all of their kids, or it was usually something sentimental. It's never about it's almost never about, dudes, when I made my first million, that was my greatest thing. It almost never is associated with money. So when you look back and ask them what was their favorite moment, it'll usually be one of those times. And if you ask them if you can go back and live that time for 24 hours, what's the one thing you would do? Most of them people would say be fully
Be
present,
present.
to just feel it. And
Yeah.
what if you in that moment right here, right now?
Right.
Like life
And you're
is
not
good. You know what I mean? Life is great. What if you in that moment right now?
right. It makes me think just figuratively. If you have love and you want to be embraced and you want to have a hug, but you're always reaching out beyond it, will you ever receive that hug unless you actually take the time to appreciate what's right there and hug it back? You
Mm,
know, if something's out here trying to embrace me and success is trying to embrace me, or it's all trying to embrace me in the present, but I'm still reaching for more, I will never feel that full embodiment of what's trying to embrace me right now. You know,
that's deep, man. That's deep. Presence is
presence is a present.
presence is powerful. Presence take away your concerns. Most of your suffering that you have is created in your head. And
Oh, for sure,
not
hundred
to
percent.
downplay anybody who went through physical suffering, but man, oh man, that dark, deep mental suffering was in your head, which means it was somewhere that wasn't even here in the physical yet. Which means that if you literally didn't give it any attention, there would be no suffering going on from
Mm-hmm.
that. That's how powerful your attention is. Um, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts.
Mm.
Quality of your thoughts depends on the quality of the questions that you ask.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask a bunch of victimhood questions, why did this happen to me? Why is this always? Then you're going to get a bunch of answers to reinforce you being a victim. But if you hold yourself accountable, know that you are the infinite source living a specific perspective, and ask yourself, what what could I be doing right here, right now? How
Yeah.
exciting! Even if
Yeah.
something happened that you don't prefer, you can always use it in a way that you do prefer. Even if it's just validating that you don't prefer it. The worst thing you can do about anything that you don't prefer is to invalidate it. Because if you invalidate something, you create an energetic link between you and that. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they say to forgive people is for you. Because if you walking around in unforgiveness, you have an energetic link between you and that person in the incident that caused you to feel like that. But if you forgive them and forget about it, be right here, right now, present behind your eyes. Now you detached. You have all your energy back. You have all your here it is. You think that you're being strong by by continuously perpetuating this energetic link between you and certain negative perceptions or negative experiences or people that you deem negative. When all you're doing is holding up your energy and tying up your energy by creating those unnecessary links. Let go, relinquish, be here, be now, be present. Don't require anything, and that includes another person. When
Mm-hmm.
you was
The
giving that
outside
list about
validation.
all of that other stuff, you don't need a person to be happy, because if you're unhappy alone, you're going to be unhappy in a relationship. You don't look for anything to complete you, because if you're incomplete alone, you're going to be incomplete in a relationship. You have to find the base tone, the base energy under you underlying right now. So no matter what, I'm going to be happy and appreciate what's here right now and be fully present. Only then
Mm-hmm.
can you actually attract a lasting relationship in which you're not continuously seeking external validation, but you be combining and multiplying. And that's in multiple ways. That's in children, that's in energy, that's in creativity, that's in frequency, that's in success. Multiplying when that divine masculine and that divine feminine get together, man. So
Yeah. And to the people, because I'm not gonna undermine how difficult this journey and all these things feel when you're in that moment and things. So my best advice when you're going through all these things and you start asking yourself, why is this happening to me? Why is all these things? Start asking yourself three more whys after that. So if this why is this happening to me? Oh, because I think he hates me. Why do I think he hates me? because when he's around, he doesn't give me this type of attention. Why do I need his attention to make me feel better? And all if you ask yourself just three whys, you can get down to a foundation that will make you feel secure in yourself about what's going on. Because it only takes three whys to break something down to a point where it's feasible, to it's conquerable. You know,
Mm,
so even if it feels difficult to just break the habits of being kind of self-destructive and be just don't end it there. Just ask yourself three more whys. Why aren't I successful? Oh, I don't do this. Well, why do I feel I need to do this to be successful? Well, why will this make me feel success? Why is it? And those little whys, three more whys, will maybe help you open that out, those ideas up enough to the point where it doesn't feel like a wall, where it doesn't feel like you're trapped within it.
that is deep, man. Ultimately, you got to bring it back to yourself.
Always.
Stop
That's
trying to
where those whys
outsource
take
your
you.
accountability to somebody else, because if you blame somebody else, you're going to stay the exact same person and not
Hmm.
grow and not transform to where you're going. If you
Hmm.
walk around as a victim blaming everybody else, you're outsourcing your power. It's the same thing that we've been talking about.
Exactly. We go
Get
right back
get to
to
the
it.
point. Be excited to hold yourself accountable, because that is knots that's getting unraveled and more of your power that's coming back.
Yeah. It's that is the tool that you needed in order to move that one more step that you haven't been there before. That to get a little bit further than you've been before, you got to push a little bit harder. That's all it takes. The weight don't get lighter on every rep. The bench press don't get lighter every rep. It gets a little heavier. So each
Mm,
time you gonna have to push a little harder, and it's gonna feel a little bit worse than it did before. But that extra push and that extra going through that little bit of more pain is gonna help you feel even more gratified when you say, "Oh damn, I used to bench this only 2 times. Now I bench it 12 times." It changes it changes your whole outlook on everything. So if you can push through that little bit of pain, imagine
mm.
what you might see on that other side. And I think that's where we can wrap it up, big dog. As
That's good,
always,
man. That's good.
I appreciate your presence because your presence is a present, and appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you too, man. Until next time, man. I'm excited. I'm always excited.
Likewise.